Welcome everyone to another episode of Trek Talk with Tech and Kirk. I'm TechMan16.
And I'm Strange Kirk because fucking where's Handy?
LARPing.
True story.
Must be.
So here we got Inko, our returning champion, with a streak of 375 wins, with a total prize money of 2.8 million. How you doing, man?
I'm just sitting in my mom's basement, bro. Hacking, as usual.
That's right. Winning Jeopardy from China. And then Ocmsrzr is back with us. How's it going, man? I got no fancy intro for you.
I'm just, I'm questioning some of my social interaction life choices.
Well, we're questioning. What we're wanting to know is like, Occam's is like, he's like a really bad cold or a hemorrhoid. Like we just can't get rid of him. He's always coming back, right?
I would have gone right for herpes myself, but it seemed like the obvious choice.
Yeah, but sometimes herpes never shows up for people. You know what I mean? Hemorrhoids, there's definitely something there.
Good start to the show. Excellent start to the show. So the past week has been pretty nuts. Lot of happenings. A lot of things going on. Discord servers, in-game chat bans, wars. We got it all, man. This show should be really fun or absolutely the worst show we've ever done.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, everybody knows that we decided to start our own server. So shout out to this being the first episode recorded on Trek Talk's home server. We decided to start our own server. Not really anything against anyone. The decision was made because we felt like we needed our own space, one where we weren't beholden to anyone's rules other than our own, because obviously our show promotes controversy and discussion, and just sort of generally airing of dirty laundry. I mean, that's just what we do, right? We get it all out in the open, we hammer it out, and we try to get it all sorted. So we decided to start this Discord, and I don't know, man. From there, it started to go downhill on our end. Started running into some problems on the server that we used to be on, which is the server 34 Discord. We started running some issues there. Nona decided to start Mollywhopping MBD.
Mollywhopping. Good word.
Yes, indeed. It's a good phrase, bro. So, yeah.
Did it turn into a slobberknocker?
I don't know, because I had planned to come to your alliance for the off time, which is when they decided to do all this fun stuff. So, I've been missing out, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I don't know, on the fun. So I'm not exactly 100% in with what went on. I've been spending a lot of time trying to get this Discord together and trying to get people in here and get everything moved around. So the free time that I have had has been just trying to keep up with the in-game stuff, and then trying to get this Discord where we need it. So
I want to talk a little bit more about Yaeger-Sector 34 before we jump ship, and try to give some context to what happened. So Yaeger-Sector 34 started out as a Voter's private server, because Voter in a past life used to be a coder, and he started Discord when we started playing the game, and so it was his little playground that he helped provide a space for. Initially, it was me creating a spreadsheet for a couple things to kind of stick it to Fartasia's L-cars way back when. But it kind of evolved into a space to record the podcast when it was still called Voters World at the time. However, when it became Yaeger-Sector, it became Server 34's kind of official Discord, and so the reason why we moved to an independent server is because a lot of stuff and a lot of the channels and a lot of the information was 34 centric. And so we want to kind of move away from 34 because we have a lot of listeners on other different servers, and we didn't necessarily want it to dominate the aspect, even though we are on 34. But we also invite others from other servers, like Ocmsrzr from 45, and various servers that we've had on the show, to give a more free discussion to all the different servers that we have contact with, or new servers that have been coming on and talking to us lately. So that's kind of the genesis of that, but nothing malicious to Yaeger-Sector. Voter's been real good about getting everything set up. So shout out to him to get this show rolling from the very beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. He really helped us out, and with we were looking at, I can't remember, I think it might have been him that discovered the Craig bot. He's definitely helped us out a lot. It's just that we decided to move here, and after that there were some other things that went on in that server that I don't think is okay. I think that everybody gets upset from time to time, but there's some things that once you do it, you've then signaled to people that willing to do that, and it's sort of something that's almost you almost can't really repair that, because to me it's kind of like when your significant other cheats on you. Well, no matter what the situation was, that they're willing to do it and that they will do it. So I once some of those things happened, what I would refer to as some censorship issues. At that point, I decided that not only that I glad that we moved the show here, but I can't support that server anymore. I don't think it's okay. Obviously, here on the show, we have a long history of allowing people to say their piece. We don't believe in censorship or banning or kicking for anything other than the most heinous of issues, being like, examples would be like racism, homophobia, things like that, Just because you disagree and we get into an argument doesn't mean we're going to kick or ban you, so you don't have to worry about that here. And yeah, that's pretty much my piece on it.
All right, so let's dive into Mollywhopping and slobberknockers. Ingo, you MBD yet again, for the 10th time. WTF. JK, LOL, LMAFAO. What the hell's going on?
Danke. You did, man.
Ingo.
McGurd.
Did a CCP catch you, man? What's the deal?
No, they're probably raiding his house.
I bet he was talking.
Subterranean dwelling.
I bet he was talking and he couldn't get anything out.
He probably has some audio issues, man.
No, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, there we are. Technical issues. Thanks, Tech.
You're welcome.
As I was saying before, I see Pete down in the audience. If Epi is around, I'd love for him to talk and tell his side as well. I don't want this to be a unilateral thing. But all the little BS and stuff that goes on, there's a lot of stuff that goes on with, obviously, all kinds of inter-alliance play. But the root of the most recent conflict came straight up from the fact that Epi lied to both myself and Handy about their movement in TC. It's pretty much it. Pretty basic, really. We were given a guarantee that they were moving in a certain direction. We took him at his word, and they went against that. And lies are really hard to come back from in this game, because we really only have, our word in this game, because it's the frickin' internet. And when you start breaking that, it's kind of like you guys with the same issues with servers. Once you start breaking that trust, it makes it really hard to come back from.
Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit. Lying about movement. What direction were they moving in, and what pivoted, and what constituted the lie, or a lie? What was the lie?
Shouldn't have been sitting in a TC area that they had for as long as they had. So they decided to move. That was a discussion that was had, and we were told, we're starting here and we're pushing north. Our sister alliance's territory was to the south. We said, okay, we get it. You guys deserve it. You should be able to do that. Have no problem with it. And took it at that. And then after pushing north a couple of spots, they turned around and pushed back into our sister alliance, which was contrary to what was told to us. No more complicated than that, to be quite honest.
And so that, I'm assuming what happened was they pushed out your sister alliance. I'm assuming this is Salt.
Yes, that is correct.
So they pushed out Salt out of one of the territories. And that's when collectively all of you declared war?
No, it was actually Epi declared war on us because, we were on voice chat talking, and obviously it got a little bit heated. I ain't going to deny that.
No way, dude.
I know it comes as a shock. It does happen. And the last comment that he made to me was basically along the lines of, fine, fuck it, we're at war. So, they started hitting us even before I was able to talk to our guys in officer chat and whatnot, saying like, hey guys, I think we've just been declared upon. And then they're all, ACs obviously blowing up of, hey, they're hit, we're getting hit, as the way these things happen. But, differences happen. But, in my mind, when it comes down to giving your word about something, that when you break that, that's really hard to come back from in any way, shape, or form. And, again, it is what it is. I mean, this game isn't what it is if you don't at least have war from time to time to keep it entertaining, because we can only hit 1,500 reds until you're bored for the day. So that's how it goes, man.
Okay, so they just started clearing out your ships because of voice chat?
Yeah. I mean, it just, that just started the war. And as war is, you hit anything with a red dot. And there have been zero discussions since. And we don't intend on having any more discussion, to be honest.
Actually, Tiger, can you come up for a sec?
Hey, good morning.
Hey, Tiger, how's it going?
Not too bad. You hear me okay?
Yep. Hey, I got a question for you because we chatted in game for a little bit, and you're recently from Dead in MBD, right?
Correct.
And we had a little discussion about you can see it kind of from an outside perspective. This I guess battering ram between Nona and MBD, and I was just wondering if you would provide your perspective on kind of like as an outsider / insider into the mentality or the mindset between this love-hate relationship.
I will I'll do my best. So obviously, being new to MBD, I'm not, in leadership or anything like that. And there's, I'm not going to try and answer for things that I don't see or, don't have full info on. So what I can say is that I consider players on both sides of this conflict to have been people that I've made friends with over the years in the game. And it's been really interesting to see how much, I guess, maybe ill will or frustration or whatever exists between these two teams. I understand from my time in Dead and the perspective that gave me in the Discord chats I was in, et cetera. I kind of get where, Nona might feel like MBD pushes a lot. I also see from my month in MBD where, some of the things that Nona does are pretty over the line as well. I think that the basis for the conflict that Doc just laid out for us, I can understand where, Nona would take the position they have. I understand why MBD felt like they were, or like we were in position to kind of set our own destinies in some regard. not to rehash old incidents or whatever, but there was a time where Nona had set up a bunch of TC movements and stuff like that, and then one day they were like, "Oh well, our players decided we wanted gas, and so we took this zone." And based on alliance power and us all playing a game and stuff like that, to me that seemed like, okay, I get why you did that. That makes sense. But like Doc said a minute ago, it's kind of hard to walk back from something like that once you've opened that up. From my perspective, anyways, I kind of see those two incidents as being the same. Because it's everybody has an understanding, everybody feels like they're on the same page, and then somebody felt like they got the rug pulled out from under them, for whatever reason, and then all of a sudden bad blood ensues. I think for the most part, the thing that I've taken away from my time on both sides of the fence is that I think most players in MBD and Nona don't dislike each other at all. I think you have some principles that are a bit more vociferous than most players, that make it seem like a lot more than it really is. And I think that that's true on potentially both sides. I can't, again, I kind of hesitate to go too far in with both feet on some of these things because I feel like there's more I don't know than, that I know. But I think that you have some players that dislike each other pretty strongly. And I think that has a lot to do with the fuel that keeps conflicts like this going, even if the majority of the alliances don't necessarily have a problem with each other, but also have a lot of fun engaging in PvP and getting into a war and doing all the stuff that comes with that. So I don't know. My biggest thing is I'm surprised to see how personal some of these things stay between a small percentage of teams. When everybody, like most of the messages that I share back and forth with Nona players over the last week have been friendly. We're cracking jokes. I see some postings of hateful stuff, and I've been in enough wars and enough alliances to know that that's both sides pretty much every time. So I don't know. To me, I don't know. A lot of it's silly, in my opinion. Just rehash.
Where's my buzzer? The handy buzzer. It's silly. We should have like a soundbite of just Handy going, "That's silly."
You gotta get a soundboard tech.
Hey Darius, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, good.
Your mic is so low.
It was so quiet.
No, it should be better now. Is that better?
Sounds like you're transmitting out of your ass.
Well, let me pull it out 1 second.
I was gonna say maybe you increase it by 1 decibel.
I'll do my best. How about now?
Slightly better.
I'll try this. And that's my last check, and I'll just start talking. How's that work?
All right, go ahead. It's all good.
All right. Yeah, so I didn't have much to add. I just wanted to jump up here anyway and say that, when we had a conflict of interest with Nona in our trade agreement with them for Mac and for Tholis, once everything got cleared up and we had a chance to talk through the details, they bent over backwards to make sure that we got what we were expecting. And it has worked since then. Now, we're only talking a couple weeks now, but while they've had conflicts with our allies, they've been pretty clean on honoring our agreement with them. So I think, and that was also at their detriment. It is less desirable for them to have Tholis overall than for them to have Napala. So they did that at their detriment. So I think it's not, Nona doesn't only always act in its own interest. It is capable of admitting when it's wrong, and it has happened before. It will happen again. So I think that's something that we don't talk about enough, just like we don't apologize to each other enough, or we don't say, oops, I did it wrong enough. So it's a good example of something in the middle of all this nonsensical conflict that I think I wanted to make sure folks understood.
Point well taken.
And also just as a slight expanding on what Tiger was talking about, when we moved into one of the TC zones, again, like you said, because it had gas, there was no it was an ask of our members, and there was never any agreement between our alliance and the alliance we took that spot from. There was nothing said, no okay, no nothing. So, just in the same way that when MBD decided to move their TCs, it was okay, even though it was a take from one of our sister alliances, we're like, we understand you guys do deserve more than what you've had. And we were surprised actually they sat on it that long. But then after a full-on discussion of they told us their plan was to do this, and then turn around and did the exact opposite. Like basically if Handy is pissed off that he got lied to, like Handy pissed off? Like, whoa. That's just all I have to say.
That's just silly.
It's just silly.
Ding ding. I need like a switchboard. I need to contact DJs and tell them to give me my switchboard, and I'll make my own sounds. So where is Handy? I thought Handy was supposed to be here.
Apparently, he spent 3 hours in a dentist chair getting a tooth pulled, and probably is sore as shit right now because 2 days after injury is when you really, really hurt. So,
Ouch.
He's probably bleeding on his pillow somewhere.
Hopped up in Vicodin.
Yeah, I really. If I had to have a major dental work done, I wouldn't want to talk to us fuckers anyway.
But isn't Sunday his like Discord day? Like he's on Discord all day on Sunday.
Again, yeah, well,
I thought every day was his Discord day.
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe he
But
decided he could only do one Discord podcast on Sunday, and you guys just didn't make the cut.
Oh,
Ouch.
yeah. Well, no, but he's got an officer chat as well. And then he's got some more voice bullshit. And then he goes on DJ's show, and that's like, an 8-hour experience. I'm just kidding. We love you, DJs.
I'm flabbergasted with a lot of your guys I've listened to. Your guys' take on 34 on territory, and I hear words like they deserve it, share. No, we don't have that. If you want territory, you got to take it. You want to keep it, you gotta keep it. There ain't no sharing. There ain't no earning. The only way you earn it is blood, sweat, and tears in the same week.
That's interesting because like 34 is kind of unique in the way that we handle that. I talked to my brother plays on server 30, and they've been in a state of, I think, constant war for like 14 months or something like that. It's crazy compared to what we do here. But yeah, it seems like here on 34 we're a lot more let's not all pay Scopely. And that seems to be kind of the driving force behind how we attack a lot of the territory stuff. The endless conflict and the tit for tat, and nobody slept for a month when TC rolled out and all of that stuff. And I think everybody over here just got kind of burnt out on that whole constant conflict thing and decided that, hey, let's just stop paying Scopely for all this and be human beings about it. Not that you guys aren't being human about it, of course. Just
Well, I'm pretty sure the driving force was we're sick of the lag. We're paying Scopely all this money to get all these ships and territories and stuff, and you can't fix like a 5-minute Rialta battle. I think that's the driving force between, all right, let's create a map where we all move around kind of deal.
Yeah, I think everybody feels that. I mean, even if you're willing to put up with, the constancy of, having battles, every other day or a couple a day, and having to spend 30 minutes or an hour, and some of them are just at the most redonkulous times of the day and whatnot. If it was actually functional gameplay, that would be one thing. But it is so painful. Like mechanics wise, they really do need to do something. And obviously everybody's clamored for that. And we have for, on this show and every other show forever, make it an actual functional thing in some way, shape, or form. But they're obviously incapable of doing so. So, it'll continue to be the lag fest that it is. And it is the absolute worst gameplay experience of anything on the planet. So
I have a tangent to that.
At least they unlocked the emoji keyboard.
Well, yes, please unlock the emoji keyboard. But I have a real tangential story that is may or may not be a little bit similar to what actually how Sopley could actually fix it. And so part of my job is or my company's job is to create these serialized barcodes for every piece of medication we send out, based on certain laws and whatever that are in place. In any case, our software that we created, effectively, when you scan a particular barcode, it's got to check against every other barcode that's been scanned of that particular product type and verify it's unique. And so the way my developers did that is when you scan a barcode, it starts doing a massive database check against all the previous barcodes scanned. And so after a certain point, we're scanning like thousands of barcodes at a time. And so after a certain point, the system just starts super lagging. It takes like 5 seconds to scan a barcode. Right? By the time it scans and processes and recognizes and and then it gives its disposition, whether it's good or it's been rescanned or something. And so I call my developer and I'm like, dude, this lag issue is terrible. Like, this can't happen. Especially, I mean, we're a small operation. Imagine if we're scanning hundreds of thousands a day. Like, that would never get done. And what he did is he looked into the code and he reassigned certain values associated with that particular product and that barcode. So it's like a yes/no function, where if the key exists, then you say rejected. If it doesn't exist, you accept the barcode. And then on top of that, he reduced the time for processing from like, I don't know, say like half a second to 1/100th of a second. And all of a sudden, the scanning rate just shot through the roof. So again, this software versus Scopely, which is a massive multiplayer online game with a bunch of developers, I'm thinking there could be a simple fix for all this lag nonsense that they have, where you just reduce the time that you actually process the data in the TC area if there's a lot of players, and that would reduce the lag. But what do I know?
Well, but that's actually one of the issues, is that STFC specifically for Scopely is understaffed right now. I mean, I was talking with Rev before, and he said, absolutely that is an issue. They are trying to get more people, but again, hiring people has become harder in the modern day and age, so they are understaffed. There's no question. So, in my opinion, they ought to just get Ripper on payroll for a month or so, and I would imagine he'd be able to fix a lot of stuff. But they're not staffed well enough to make the things that they want to happen as quickly as they want to. And TC is, I mean, what has it been now? Over a year and a half?
Yeah, just about. By the way, anybody have problems hiring people if you're hiring?
Horrific.
It's terrible, isn't it?
It's really miserable.
Like, this is, I can only imagine, like, this is the best time to be searching for a job, and the absolute, just most awful time trying to hire people.
And that's across a whole host of different businesses. Like, I don't care what kind of business you're in. I've not talked to anybody that is like, oh yeah, it's great. We have so many people, like we're having to turn them away. It's like, no, particularly in the service industries. Like, I have a buddy that owns a restaurant. He's like, I mean, he's back there washing dishes, instead of running the business because he can't get somebody, in. I mean, it's crazy.
There is some trickle down if you're looking for a new job, especially something new that you got to train on. Your chances are you're coming into a company that's experiencing a shit show because they're down 10 people and it's causing chaos in their company. Well, they hire you. Well, they're still down 9 people, and you just got thrown into the deep end of the pool.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen this level of ridiculousness, because I try to hire people, and I'm lucky. I got 3. I got 3, and I mean, I had to pull teeth to try and get those people, first of all, to actually come in and walk in the door for an in-person interview. I mean, that's how crazy it's been.
It's amazing on the radio. Like, isn't it? It's every other commercial is some trucking company hiring drivers with sign-on bonuses and the whole 9 yards.
Shit, even Domino's is offering a signing bonus at this point.
You know what I have noticed is that I have noticed that all of the work from home jobs seem to be getting snatched up very quickly.
Man, I'll tell you, the work from home thing is terrible. I design integration systems and stuff, or automation systems for people's homes, and trying to do design specs and everything while my kids are e-learning in the next room or whatever is like, oh, it's a fucking nightmare. I can't get shit done at home.
A lot of things that people, I think one of the biggest things that it's not really being addressed. It's not being addressed necessarily. Is the fact that this whole COVID thing has changed the way people operate, and they don't want to leave their homes now. Everybody just wants to be at home, and so it's like, oh well, people get used to working from home. I don't have to leave. I don't have to go anywhere. I can just do my work in my pajamas and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I think that also plays a big deal in it. People have gotten used to not having to leave the house, and they don't want to. So.
I mean, that's a fair point. Even my design focus has shifted to, making sure that I can provide more and more remote support capabilities because, one, because everybody's locked up, and two, because you can't find any people to actually get field work done. So as an answer to the lack of prospects out there, it's okay, find a way to make it take less time to troubleshoot issues and things like that. How do I do more from my chair instead of having to be in the field? And because my industry is no different than what we were just talking about. We've been looking for 12 months at least, trying to find a couple of A/B techs just to go do install work. Can't find them. They're not out there.
Yeah, there's definitely plenty of work available, but it's just, I think also this recent sort of movement about get paid what you're worth, and and all these things, and I agree people should get paid what they're worth, but people are they're using an example of a lot of jobs that are really, it's unrealistic to expect to earn a certain amount of money from some of these jobs. I nothing against anyone. Lord knows I've worked lower paying jobs and things like that, but like to expect to support a full family being a cashier at McDonald's, that's not really a thing, and it hasn't been a thing. And people say, oh well, people did things like that years and years and years ago, and well, at one point, everybody wiped their ass with a leaf, and then we invented toilet paper, and we were smart enough to use it, right? So things change. So I think that's also detrimental. The people, well, I'm not making enough money to do that, and I'm like, what are you talking about? You put the shit in the basket, you drop it in the grease, you pick it back up. I don't know what you're talking about.
But Kirk, weren't you watching the news? Even 2 years ago, people were having to use leaves again. We haven't advanced that much.
Yeah, well, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. You got me there. I don't really know. I don't have any.
The great COVID toilet paper shortage. I love Kaika in chat. He's like, Union Pacific was hiring in San Antonio. They were expecting 1,000 applicants. 7 showed up. 4 failed drug tests. Wow.
Holy crap! Seriously?
Oh, I've seen advertisements that have flat out said we will not drug test you. Come on in.
So to unpack that, I worked for Union Pacific, and when I got hired on Union Pacific, there were 3 positions open, and they cut it off at 1,000 applicants.
Yeah,
1,000 applicants for 3 entry-level positions.
Yeah, I was interested in working for Norfolk Southern for the police department, and because it's a really sweet gig, and I inquired, and I was very very qualified for it, and all the certifications that I had, and I basically got told that I didn't have enough experience and all this other stuff, and at one point it was ridiculous, and I'm pretty sure now it's a lot easier to get your hands on some of these jobs at a much better pay rate than there was back in the day.
It's very interesting times that we're living in. In any case, hey Gator's here from server 28. Come on up, man. I wanna hear your drama.
Let me take this opportunity real quick to say, for people listening, let us know in our server section. You'll notice that there's a bunch of numbers. Those numbers directly correlate to the server. So if you don't see your server listed on there, right now all we have is 13, 34, 45, and 66. If you don't see your server on there, please let us know, and we will create a channel specifically for your server.
And I'll add to that, add all your drama-filled comments in there so we can have some more material for the show to discuss.
Gator, what server are you from?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah? Okay, hey, I'm Gator from 28. Nice to talk to you guys.
Welcome to the show, man. How you doing this morning?
Doing well. I'm at the grocery store, so you probably can hear some background noise. So at one time I get to talk to the podcast with my baby. So
Excellent. So tell us some details, because I don't think we've had 28 on the show before. Tell us a little bit about your server, where you're from, power levels, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
sure. So okay, you guys have never heard anything from 28 then, right? No, talk to nobody. There's a few people that listen to the DJ's podcast like me, so okay, well, cool. Yeah, so we are, let's see, I mean, we're a pretty old server, 3 years plus at this point. We have a power level that's probably, not looking at my game right now, but it's probably like 5 or 6, or maybe closer to 10 at this point, 51 plus players. We have 2 alliances over 2 billion power, and we have a pretty active, I think numbers-wise, we're probably one of the more active servers, at least from like a all players perspective. We do a lot of event participation, and when they do those server milestones, it seems like we have some of the higher milestones compared to some other servers. So I think we're pretty active. I don't know that we're super chatty. We certainly have a number of players that are extremely chatty, and like GC and things like everywhere else does. But we don't do a ton of like server voice chats or anything like that, and anything. But we do have plenty of drama, so that's probably the most fun thing about us right now. We're in basically an entire server war. I think all of the top 15, 20 alliances are involved in this war right now, except for like 3 or so. So that's probably the main thing, and I guess it basically all centered around disagreements over what to do with rogue players, is what they're being termed. So I guess I'll stop there, and again, if you have any questions or anything.
I have a question. So,
Sure.
rogue players, meaning people that don't follow the server.
Yeah, more or less. So basically, and of course I'm obviously involved in the war, and I was an admiral for a time on the server too. So I'm sure if we get anybody else on here, and this is just one perspective, obviously there'll be other perspectives to share. But from my perspective, there was one big alliance that most of the server power players were in towards the beginning of our server, and they were led by a dude who, from, again, my perspective, seems to love exerting power and power trips on the server. So that alliance was involved in multiple wars because people got fed up with different kinds of ways that they were trying to seemingly control the gameplay. So, like, they would do things. I think there was a really big war that lasted, like, over a year against that against that alliance that had most of the server involved in that one, too. And that one specifically started because it was back when they only had 3 nodes in Yarda. And there was one of those stupid data events when that kind of launched, right? So that alliance basically shut down Yarda, so nobody could even enter the system to even try to get on a node. And they were just cycling their own warships and whatever on nodes to make sure that nobody else could really get in there and play that event. So that was like the straw that broke everything on that server, on our server. So we had a huge war about that. But that's so the rogue player thing kind of comes from, over time, people have still been really pissed at that alliance at different points. And so they'll basically drop tags and go just solo hit that specific alliance, and maybe like 1 or 2 others. that are friendly with that alliance. And so that alliance gets really mad about it, obviously, and so they then, return the favor against that player. But then when those players or whatever try to return to another alliance, then that alliance will get the tag against, or get the war tag too, and eventually start, a series of smaller wars and stuff. So that's kind of been going on, like, with multiple different players, multiple different situations over the past, again, since that really big war a couple years ago. So that's kind of what is meant by rogue players. It's almost entirely people dropping tags to attack this one alliance named Deadly.
So, why do these alliances take these people in? They're rogue elements.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably different things. I guess the current situation where the alliance I'm actually in right now took in a few. It's players. We've all been playing the game a long time, so it's players that know each other and stuff. So they kind of they're like looking after their buddies and taking in friends and stuff like that. So that'll happen. Sometimes it's power players, like the one person that's gone, I guess, rogue multiple times is I think the second or third biggest player on the server.
Do those people realize that this is exactly what Scopely wants, right? They want all the players at war with each other.
Which people, the Deadly or the rogue players?
No, just in general. Scopely wants confrontation.
I'm sure, at least based on what everyone's ship power levels are across all levels. I mean, I'm level 42 right now. And I mean, dudes around my level that I've never seen with big uncommon G4 ships before, we're definitely whipping them out and blowing them up. So we're for sure spending. I'd be shocked if our spend numbers haven't increased over the last month or so.
I mean, a little war can be fun and stuff, but only up to a point. And then all you're doing is just wasting a bunch of money.
Yeah, that's kind of where it's at with Deadly. And Deadly used to be a big alliance. They've gone, like, the big war kind of split them up a little bit. So they had two alliances wearing their same kind of banner kind of thing. They had one. So one of them actually left and split off, and that's the one that I'm in right now. And that's actually the one that we're they're doing the main fighting against Deadly. It's Deadly and Wolf is the split alliance. And that's where Wolf's the second biggest alliance on the server right now. And Deadly's, I think, the fifth or so. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where we're at. And then I think the reason this ballooned out, I think, was so we're one of those servers that does coalition TC battles, and we definitely got two sides of the map here. And so, like, members of our alliance specifically were, not too happy that Deadly, will do the stacking, and they'll definitely send ships to every single other alliances in their coalitions. TC battles, and so that really, kind of annoyed people in our alliance, because it's like, okay, well, you're sitting there, these other alliances that insist you have nothing to do with Deadly and the way that they want to play and whatever, but you're accepting help from them in TC all the time, so, like, what the heck? So that was definitely a pain point for some guys on our side. But then another alliance that's in our TC coalition was starting to get threatened by Deadly for taking in what they considered a rogue player, even though this player had supposedly been, following the rules and whatnot to get back in under good graces. So, but Deadly decided that they were going to ward these other guys anyways.
If you're going to try and teach somebody a lesson, right? Like, these rogue players go rogue, they get taught a lesson, and then if you keep grinding them into dust forever to keep punishing them, they have no incentive to correct their ways.
Yeah, so that's basically always the argument that's being said for the people like my alliance that takes in the rogue players. It's like, look, they've been, in a lot of cases they were playing well for, at least a few weeks after whatever they did, that they flew off the handle or something. They've been playing well, right? So then they come back, and it's like, what's the point of leaving them out in the cold forever? And I think the biggest thing too is that there's been lots of discussions about trying to have some kind of uniform rule as a server, like where it's like, okay, well, it's 30 days after your last bad hit, or what if you bad hit again after only a week or something, and then does that restart your 30-day clock? And nobody can really agree on anything. So different alliances just kind of start doing stuff like Deadly KOSing people, and then other alliances taking other people in before their 30 days are up or whatever. So kind of lots of disagreements, and like I said, there's not really, like I thought, your guys' episode that I just listened to about your server 34 war, and it kind of was just resolved on the podcast where the people were sort of talking to each other. It's like there doesn't seem to be a lot of talking on the sides. Like I have an admiral chat kind of thing, like a Discord server specifically for admirals and commodores on our server, and it's pretty much just an entire like mudslinging pit and people name calling and sharing nasty memes about each other and whatever. So it's like definitely doesn't seem like a healthy place, and definitely no conflict being resolved or whatever. And if anything, it's just making conflict even worse. So it's kind of an interesting thing. It doesn't really seem like there's an end game other than just alliances straight up folding. So, which has happened a lot. I think we've probably had more alliances fold, over our 3-year history than I'd think most servers would have based on what I've heard.
Sounds like a wonderful shit show.
Yeah, pretty much.
It happens everywhere, right? Like all servers at some point are having all the same drama. A bunch of us have said, a number of times, like, surely there's a psychiatrist that is going to write a paper about this game and something to do with humanity. Like there just has to be. So I would propose this. We need some type of ability to resolve conflict. And I would propose that if you scoop an online player with Keenser as solo officer on the bridge, that ends the war. Like, you win. I think that's a good endpoint.
I thought it was Mabenga.
Well, after talking to Rev, I've decided Keenser is definitely the crew setup. It really is. Mabenga, he had his day, but I just think he got, I think he got outplayed. Power creep. Keenser for the win.
Power. So old Keenser or new Keenser?
Blue Keenser.
There's only one.
There's only one.
There's actually 2 different Keensers, but that has to do with Scopely's dumb. Like, okay, so the original Keenser that wasn't available in the what is it, the loyalty chest store, has the ability to increase your impulse by 25%. So there is an old Keenser and then there's a new Keenser. A new Keenser is mainly what everybody's got.
I didn't even realize that.
Okay then.
And to distract everyone, Red Eye said that all the emojis work in STFC now. So I just punched in GC all the emojis I could randomly find in 2 seconds on my phone. They all work.
Yeah, that was my reference earlier.
They need the emoji keyboard on PC.
They unlocked the emojis for us, so even though we can't have TC without lag, at least now I can make a barf face at somebody in GC.
I would issue a challenge to everybody listening on every server that if you have conflict and you have contentious people messaging one another, you use the most ridiculous emojis within your text and then post them here on the server so we could all take a look.
I got a guy in my server that does that. He responds to everybody that sends him a nasty PM in game with just emojis, and he'll get them just so riled up. And he's doing nothing but sending single emojis, and these people are having arguments with themselves for pages and never realize.
Well, post some screenshots. That would be hilarious. But Gator, going back to 28, you said that the top 15 alliances are effectively at war with one another. Is it like coalition wars, or is it just everybody blowing up everybody?
No, it's definitely coalition wars. It's certainly a one side versus the other kind of thing. Because basically, I'll just use the straight up tags because it's confusing me now to, to not mention them. So this deadly group was, This deadly group was pissed at another group that had just recently merged themselves. So they're KTTX and Dune. So they merged to KTOD. So KTOD had this player that was in Dune. And again, I'm not 100% on this, so this is somebody probably correct me on this if they ever listen to this. But they had this player that was in Dune, wearing Dune tags, that had been going rogue against Deadly for however long, but had been in Dune not going rogue for at least a number of weeks, if not months. And so when this merger happened, the Deadly leadership approached the KTTX leadership and said like, hey, you guys just took in this player that we have a problem with, and now we have a problem with you. And so the KCOD leadership after this merger, which included, obviously leadership from both sides, basically said, that's bullcrap. Like, this guy's been playing under our rules for whatever. Like, he hasn't been bad hitting you guys anytime recently, and whatever bad hits in the past have already been resolved. So like, get off our backs. And then it sounds like they basically, Dudley was just like, no, and just started hitting them. So KCOD in response said, okay, like, F that. We're going to hit not only you guys, but every single other alliance in your guys' TC coalition for working with you guys, because we're just over it. It's pretty much their attitude. So that led to then my current alliance, who's the number 2. KCOD is like the number 6 or so alliance on the server. We're number 2. And we were already at war with Dudley and another alliance for raid interference against a deadly raid. So we were, number 2 was already at war with number 3 and 4. Number 2, we're number 2, and we are allies with the KTOD group, who's number 6. So number 6 declared war with basically everybody on Dudley's side, so about half the top 15. And we joined in against that same half of the top 15, and then another one of our alliances on our coalition joined in, number like 12 or so. So there's 3 of us against probably like 7 or 8 of them. And we have like the only 3, or I think it's 3 alliances that aren't involved in the war. So they're on our coalition side, and that's number 1, number like 7, and number like 10. So basically everybody else is involved, but it's definitely 2 sides, not everybody against everybody. So yeah, I guess in bringing this up, I'm curious to see what you guys would like. Again, the server doesn't talk. There's a lot of people that don't like other people, especially in leadership groups and stuff like that. And like I said, I was involved in leadership groups and I just couldn't take it anymore. So I had to get out of that, just go back to regular play style. But I'm curious to see, learn about if you guys have had similar experiences and one of the things when I was in leadership, I was really trying to push for, having our server go to a 1v1 TC environment, because the lag is it's still awful. Every single TC battle lags out like crazy. And we've heard that 1v1's better, but we've literally never tried it. On our server, it's always coalition versus coalition. And it's basically always the same players too, and there's always stacking, and there's always, just all kinds of bull crap. And people having to go to every single defense all the time. So I don't know. Anyway, but I guess just in this situation, but just in general with rogue players, I'm curious to see how you guys would handle this, or how you have handled this. Maybe I'll give us some ideas.
At least on our server, we've, and Handy, I would argue, has been the best at being able to bring in, rogue players and making them not rogue. It's just, like you said, keeping them out in the cold is never really a great thing, because they just kind of continue to do what they want to do. But, if you're able to rehab them, that really is, in the end, that's the best. It's good, for the entire server, when you're able to bring in, one of those rogue players and actually have them, play with a little chivalry, So, that's the only solution I've ever seen. Because there's nothing in this game otherwise that you can do to anybody, right? Because you got a shield button. Now some people haven't found it yet, but the majority of people, you can just hit the shield button. You can pop around to so many different systems now. It's a lot more convoluted to hunt for one person than it is for an alliance. So rehabbing them is the only thing I've ever seen work, and it doesn't always work. Some people are just always going to be assholes, but only solution I've ever seen.
Yeah, see, the thing on our server is we actually have some sort of consensus and agreement on universally what's considered bad or good behavior. Now, people can argue that or say whatever they want about our particular server style of engagement, but effectively, if a rogue player goes to an alliance that has them follow the server consensus and stop doing their, let's say, malicious activity, then that player, all right, think he's back in.
Yeah, don't put him on the stage. He messes up when he's on the stage for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I've noticed, anyways.
Really? Because it's been I've been doing that for a while, and well, Boom's gonna have fun with this. Put it that way.
He doesn't have enough to do.
This Craig is worse than Gary. Just
Yeah,
saying.
Gary sucks.
Fucking Tom.
I hate that guy.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, be ready.
Hey, be ready with what?
Good. Just got my number, so really excited.
Excellent. Anyways, I just did a whole rant about how 34 has a server row and
I'm so sorry.
what?
Can I point out just real quick from the chat? Shout out to Lord Pete that if you're playing on PC and you hit Windows and your period key, that you can do emojis. I was today years old when I learned that, and I love you for it. And I'm doing barf emojis on everybody. Thank you.
And to put that into perspective, Lord Pete's from MBD.
Yeah.
And Inchoate's from Nona. And he said he loves the guy from MBD. So that just shows you the love-hate relationship between the alliances.
True story.
I don't think any of us hate each other. We just get frustrated with choices people make or lack thereof.
Well, I heard Handy you got pissed off. So that means you really hate MBD.
Who got pissed off?
You did.
I mean, it's actually there are some people who I actually don't like. See, I was on a peaceful server until I got merged with the founder server, and then I joined an alliance which has been at war for the past 3 years. I didn't get it at first. Later, I get that the other alliance just like to dictate everything. They try to twist everybody's words, and some of them are really, really bad people. So yes, there are some people actually I hate from the other alliance.
Oh, I found a hate buddy. Somebody that admits to hate besides me.
Hate's a strong word. I don't know, man. I don't think
That's
anybody.
just silly, Handy. That's just
I
silly.
don't think it is silly, but I don't think anybody is capable of doing anything in this game to me to cause me to hate them. The fact is I'm just never going to give somebody that much control over my emotions in this.
No, he
game.
doesn't. Okay, I don't mean like I really hate them, but okay. Hate might be hate. Hate is a strong word, but almost as much as hate when it comes to dislike, because there are some really bad people in this game who behave really badly chat wise, who just harass you just for the sake of harassing you. There are people like that.
Oh,
I
of
mean, they
course
can't
there
do
are.
anything to my warship, so all they do is kill my miners and run. And then they start twisting my words on GC. Then they start twisting my words on the server, on the server Discord. They do all kinds of. They lie. They make up stuff. They think that they are the boss and they need to dictate everything in the server, which is why the war is going on in the first place.
So you're at work.
You ready? You're like describing Server 28's war.
All servers are pretty much the same. They all go through the same stuff. It's amazing.
By the way, shout out to Lord Pete. While Inco was telling him that he loves him, he hit Salt Miner. So kudos, man. Really taking the word at heart while listening to the podcast. Really appreciate the effort.
I know he caught me slipping. I was talking to you monkeys and not watching.
So yeah,
You can't do it again. So painful.
So wait, all of you are on the same server now?
A bunch of us are.
yeah, so vreddy, you're on 196, Gator's on 28, Ocmsrzr is on 45, and the rest of us are 34. We're multicultural, put it that way. Or what? I guess the word would be multi-serverable or multi-serverable. Is that a word? It's not a word. I'll make it a word. Anyway, so Gator, yeah. So we agree on a server kind of consensus, and once you take in a player that's been quote rogue, and you make sure that they follow our server consensus, then everybody usually leaves them alone. I know Chef, who's a wonderful dude. He was the server PD champion, still is, but he used to kill every miner that he could see. And so when he went to Nona, he was converted, born again Ro Chef, and then and then I did the same thing with Toph. Nobody's really hit Toph since he's joined, my alliance. Caused a few issues with Dark, but whatever. It is what it is. But that's mainly so the advice would be on your server is you have to get everybody in a chat and kind of agree on the basics of how people should conduct business between alliances, so that if and when you do take these rogue players in, as long as they adhere to those conditions, nobody should be able to touch them.
I think there needs to be a path for rogue players that have gotten sideways to rehabilitate themselves with the community and be in an alliance and a productive alliance member. But I don't know. Reality for me, and I would say for 45, is most of those rogue players, it's a continuing pattern of behavior. If they're lucky, they can keep their act together for, they go to a new alliance, they keep their act together for 30 days, and they go back to their old ways. And once you've seen that cycle repeat again and again and again, I understand where alliances are coming from, going, you know what, we've had so much crap with this dude. If you pick him up and take him into your alliance, we don't want to hear that rehabilitation story and how he gets a fresh start, because we've heard it too many times. So, hey.
And I agree with that to a point, but at the end of the day, you got to look at what's best for everybody in your alliance. And if you have to go to war permanently forever just to punish this one idiot, or he can cause an issue for you every once in a blue moon, then I don't know, the scales, you tell me how those scales balance out.
The opposite of that is the same. He's just going to bounce from alliance to alliance to alliance with the same bad behavior, and all it's going to do is conflict between your alliance and those alliances that are temporary housing him. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
If you leave the dude alone, chances are 99% of the time he's going to leave you guys alone.
Not my experience with rogue players.
And if somebody doesn't leave you alone, then sure, hold their feet to the fire, whatever. But if you can get them to leave you alone most of the time, then it's good enough. Usually.
Yeah, that's what I'm a little bit. So I think the main thing, it's not so much that they can't agree, that I think the server can't agree on like what roles should be. It's more that most of the rules involve like when someone goes rogue like this, and the Snugglefest side of the server is really wanting that the rule is that everybody on the server would KOS the player, the rogue player or whatever, the person harboring the rogue player, whatever. Like there'd be some like full server wide repercussions, and that's the piece where it's like the server's really old. There's lots of relationships and bad blood and stuff like that, and it's like that's just never going to happen. So I think that's like a huge like that particular piece. Of, like the rules are one thing; it's more like I guess the enforcement of the rules. Like if someone does this, because there's some players, it's like you mentioned, like and some of them are bigger too. Like there's not like those players don't like the leadership of the deadly group specifically, and I just personally don't see them ever stopping to hit that deadly group. And the deadly group doesn't really seem like they care that much because they have like 30 to 40 active players still, like daily active players, and I mean it doesn't really seem like they care to be at war all the time because they keep declaring more wars. So it's it doesn't feel like there's a lot of endgame in that perspective. Maybe with some of these other groups that are not as like ready or willing to be at war forever, but it doesn't really feel like the deadly group specifically is interested in stopping being in forever wars.
Like we actually tried that on our server at one point. We tried to get a group of alliances together that the anti ROE players would be targeted by multiple alliances just to make it a little bit harder on them. And immediately a bunch of other alliances called us the server police and badmouth and whatever, and it just never really materialized. That was the only other thing that I ever thought of trying to combat some of these players. But again, it only seems like rehabilitation has worked.
Yeah, well, what's extra interesting too is that this argument that's saying like it's not even just one side, like it's not just Deadly getting mad about rogue players. That's the same exact thing on the other side. So it's extra funny now to me to read these conversations because there's been now a recent example of the exact same thing happening, but in reverse roles, right? Where a player went rogue against an alliance and the coalition. So the coalition alliance got mad and put a KOS tag on that player for life, and so that player got taken in by another alliance and started the war, right? So and it's like super funny to read the comments that that are going on now from the Snugglefest leadership because they're like saying the exact same things that we're saying, for why it's bullcrap that war got declared.
You have to put a time limit on everything. You can't just say something indefinitely. You're being a freaking asshole if you do that.
Yeah, I think that's an opinion shared by most, but not all.
You could put a criteria on it that doesn't have to have a time frame. We're saying until your behavior changes in a significant way.
Yeah, but given the opportunity, if you just put an end date on something, people will just follow along.
No, but it depends on the situation as well, right? So, I'm in a 3-year war. I've not been in it for 3 years, but I'm in an alliance which has been in war for 3 years, and I agree with the reason why it is. Because I've seen the other alliances being bullied by them. There was one alliance because they did not stand down and give them their territory during one of the territory events. They just went batshit crazy and started killing all of them because they were upset that they did not stand down, bend down, and give their 3-star territory away to them, which does not make any sense.
Yeah, that doesn't make.
That's how much of a bully they are.
I mean, I think the term bully is thrown around in this game too much, and obviously, this is
They can't bully me. I'm just saying they try to bully the alliances that cannot fight back with them.
No.
Like the alliances
totally
that like mining. I mean, there are people who just like mining and PvE. They try to bully them because those people cannot handle PvP. They can't bully us because we have big ships. We can kill them back.
This game's specifically designed for bullies. That's like what it's all about. If you can spend more money and more time in the game, or some combination thereof, you're the biggest dude and you get to do whatever the fuck you want. And the fact that a lot of these big players play ball, you all should be thankful, because the reality is they can do whatever they want with zero consequences. I mean, sure, you can nip at their heels, but at the end of the day, they can do whatever they want. So if you can get a big player to come to the table and be reasonable, just count your blessings and go on about your day. Play your game. Don't
I
worry.
just want to say that's not true. Like, there's no such thing as not having repercussions. Because if I do something stupid, then I got to hear Handy bitch and moan so much it's like more painful than my wife bitching at me. So, just saying, there are repercussions.
You don't have to look.
That should be the standard bearer. So Gator, get the Dudleys and get whoever's dry hitting. Come up here and have Handy trade them for like 30 minutes,
Just berate them and
it'll be over.
Yeah, they'll straighten out.
It's painful, man.
See, this is what Scribbly's next update is going to be. It's the cross server stuff, and all it really is cross server chat, and it's only there so Handy can go yell at us all the time. So I've seen the roadmap.
It ain't the yelling. It's the Mr. Rogers routine where he just makes you feel bad about yourself.
It's
I know this
true.
is off topic, but does anybody have any guesses for what's coming day after tomorrow?
But all right.
More extra scrapping. I don't know. They're gonna,
No, they won't ask you to leave your scrapyard open if they're giving you extra scrapping. That's counterproductive.
Yeah, I mean, extra scrapping opportunities. Clearly,
I mean, thank baby Jesus.
some sort of ships that we can't scrap now, but who knows?
You're gonna be able to scrap your ISS jellyfish. Okay, that's what's gonna happen.
But I don't want to. It's amazing. It's the cheapest one I can use to kill heavies.
I'll scrap the hell out of a bunch of my
Oh
jelly.
my god, I've got 8 of them. I'm trying. I wish all I want is a delete button. Like, don't even give me something for it. Just let me clear some space.
Why do you have 8 jellies?
Well, because they kept coming from friggin' Armada stuff, and you just used them for.
I have them, but I've never built them.
Well, but I did them for like ship event, whatever kind of BS. I don't know, man. Whale problems.
Whale, you're a super whale.
Unfortunately, the one of the only 3 on my server that's 51 plus. So I'm enjoying the events before all the 49s move up. We have about 7 49s ready to move up. So I'm hoping they take another month so I can enjoy the events without actually spending much. I mean, resources.
Yeah, that's one difference. Like, I mean, it's not Ska's server, but I mean, our server is, what do we have? We have 20 something over 50 or something like that. So I mean, and it's a big game.
There's at least like 25 people over 50 in there.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
But also, it's a great thing that they improved the dailies, though. I mean, the daily SMS, those really help more than the leaderboards as well.
Yeah, some of those they finally did now.
Yeah.
Obviously, like your true dailies, it would be really nice if those scaled a little bit. You know, or some of the loot that you get, like
They have scaled a little bit with the
I just got to 52 and I'm getting 1.5 billion titanium from dailies. That is still a much, much higher jump than you got when you were 49. You got what, 100 million or like 50 million when you were 49? That's like negligible.
Yeah, so Pete said, looks like we have 30 players on our server that are over 50.
I looked, we have 12.
No, but we're going to have many soon. A lot of people are spending to come up to the 50 plus to get those extra resources so they can. That's what I did. I actually sacrificed a bunch of research and stopped upgrading my ships just to get to 50 so that I can get those extra resources in titanium so I can just smash people with my G-Force and not worry about the cost.
No, it's very true. And we've talked about it before. It's funny how the economies had changed from G3 to 4 to 5. 3 was all about, your materials, and then 4 was all about ship parts. And 5 is, holy crap, are we back to fucking materials again?
No, it's materials and it's
trip.
resources as well.
Yeah.
I just did my academy and I have a decent research, and it was 750 billion. That's a ridiculous amount, dude. Even with the dailies, that's going to take you like half a month.
Oh yeah, I mean, just like the away teams center to go up to 59 is 6 trillion steel. It's only 31 billion par, so that's not that, or trit, so that's not that bad. But 60K uncommon 5-star and 13K rare 5-star. I mean, it's really heavy stuff.
Yeah, when I started hitting buildings that needed 30K plus uncommon G5 mats, I was like, oof.
Oh yeah.
Wait, what level? What level is that? I mean, what ops level is that?
I'm 55, trying to get into 56.
I mean, even 52 was bad. I mean, my academy was 6,000. My shipyard was 9 or 10. And my research was another 8,000. It wasn't cheap.
The big milestones are 52, 56, 58, and then obviously 60. Those are where you really get hitting the ding ding. You got to do all the below the tracks crap that is still completely worthless.
But I thought 54 to 55 is tough too because you're getting the rare ship, so they actually really make you do everything.
I don't remember that being that bad. To 56 was the bad one.
Because 52 to 53 looks really bad. 52 to 53 looks very bad. I don't know when the hell I'm going to go up there.
I found 50 to 52 not that bad.
Yeah, 50 to 52 is not bad at all, but 52 to 53
maybe it's 52 to 53. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 52 to 53 was when there was a massive amount of vault upgrades.
No, they want us to do vaults. They want us to do docks. They want us to do everything, basically.
And you're sharing that mat with the ships you're trying to get into and the research.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, most of my 5-star, my G5 research, now wants 1,000 to 3,000 G5 uncommon mats. And I'm like, fuck, I can't spare that. I need that ship for building.
Yeah, especially like right now, example for the officer event I just did, you get what, 82 by spending 1 million.
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers are very low what they give you, and the numbers they want are so high. It's a little ridiculous.
I wouldn't go little. I'd say rinky-dink. they could triple it. They could triple the payout in G5 uncommon mats, in the packs and the events, and it would still be. I would still consider it a potent, difficult climb to upgrade.
Yeah.
Out of the mid.
My aim is 53. I just want the super highways and I want my uncommon ship, and then I'm going to sit there and enjoy it.
The super highways are so nice.
I know, dude. It takes me 15 minutes to go up there to get to grind rep. And I don't want to move there because I'm mining other stuff in lower space like ISO and stuff. And I don't want to waste my mycelium. So literally it takes forever.
No, it definitely does. But that's the way this, this game has always been, is that, if you want to be in the upper reaches, you're, getting ham smacked to do so. It's just like, for example, like they have stupid stuff like the cloaking event where you have to cloak and kill 8 or 9 times, and your reward is enough cloaking juice for 2 or 3 cloaks.
Yeah, but you're getting the other stuff, right? You're getting the other stuff, though. I mean, in fact, imagine that's at least they're doing that now. Imagine the time they had the cloak event, they never gave us that extra juice. So most people couldn't finish the event. At least now they're giving that extra juice to let people finish the event.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean.
No, it's true.
That's actually an improvement to what it was before.
Well, the key is just not to be the highest ops player, so you can find a cloaking kill buddy to do your daily.
I only have one guy on my server who's bigger than me, who's not in my alliance, and I hate him. I basically got my Nova yesterday, and the first thing I did, I went to warp 285 and killed his Nova.
Every time vreddy says hate, I smile a little bit. I'm the only one that uses that word.
That's the first time the first thing I did with my Nova was put on my warp research. I mean, the warp ISOs. I started an alliance warp ISO. I went to 285 space and killed him. It took me 2 hits, but actually, first thing I did was kill him.
See, and that's the constructive power of hate right there. Look at the sense of accomplishment that his hate gave.
And then the next thing that happens. The next thing happens is he gets his Corvus and parks it next to my base in territory for like 20 minutes while I'm all going and discovering all the other 285 systems. And then I just summoned back home. He saw my ship back home and then left because I was just getting ready to start hitting his Corvus with my Cory.
vreddy, what faction are you going up? What's your primary?
I'm doing dual. I'm doing both Klingon and Romulan.
But which primary?
Romulan.
So you're killing Fed. You're killing. Yeah. So you're killing Feds.
I'm hitting Feds, but I also go hit Romulans as well to try and balance it. I'm about 1.3 or 1.35 in Romulan and 1.3 in Klingon. But I'm going to go for the Watcher over the Corvus because I want to kill that fellow's Corvus.
See, there comes the hate again. It's interesting. It's interesting how they really have, changed the way that each system is up in double D space. Because like farming for ROM rep, so in the Fed section, they have that baseable system. It's all surveys 51 to 53. It's a total gimme. Whereas like since I switched over and now I'm killing ROMs. Like there's not a great place.
Oh, I've not got into that system yet. I just literally got my Nova and my Pylum is still T6. I'm 7,000 uncommon crystal away from getting T7. So I should get it in the next few weeks. And then I'll start going and hitting those systems.
Yeah.
Because T6, I don't think can really get those systems. I mean, it's not worth the buck. May as well wait a few days and get it to T7.
Right. Because once you base there, just use the G4 rare, for your farming, and you can still even use PMC as long as you're only hitting the 51s with that one. But like Pete said in chat, it's like the new version of Tygork, but they switched it over for Romulan grinding, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. No, but also it's not that difficult just to move to the next system, right? Because 230 is, I mean, if you're a T7, you're going to get 230 warp anyway. So it's not that difficult to warp to the next system, even if you have base. Yes, it takes a minute.
I am so spoiled with having been able to base in the system and and farm from the system that you're in. I can't stand warping anymore. So I
Because
have to.
none of the first three systems, none of the initial systems actually have traders in any of the base systems. They're all in the next door systems. That's the reason why I know I keep having to walk to the next system, kill the traders.
Yep.
Inko, I gotta ask you, man. And this is a really important question. Do you intentionally mispronounce things, or is it just a habit?
What am I mispronouncing?
I think,
I don't know what the fuck you called Tiger Core.
Tigork?
yeah, it's Tiger. Yeah, you can call it Tigor.
It's just an abbreviation, so it's not mispronouncing.
Tigork
Just give it a
Khan?
nickname.
Tiger
You
Core.
know, well, and then there's the other things like you, the hecta, you call it the haida or something. And I mean, it's just
There's no Merriam-Webster's on this motherfucking thing.
They're all proper nouns. You can actually say what the hell you want. There's no specific way you have to say it.
Inko, how do you pronounce the purple chick from Mud's Crew? What's her name?
I'm not saying a damn thing anymore.
the
Right. How do you say the G5 rare that begins with a Q?
Kufsompek? Is that what it's called? I don't know. I don't even have access to it in my store, so I can't even see the name.
You can see it in ships.
I can't see the ships. No, they've throttled that. I'm not even in.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
You have to be 50 to see the ships, or 49 or something.
Right. Yeah.
Making fun of the way I pronounce shit, motherfucker.
Because I was 49 when they released them, and yeah, I could see the ships from the beginning.
I would call that the Q song pack.
Yeah, it's the Kufsompek.
Dude, I used to correct Inch all the time, and I just gave up because he mispronounces things constantly.
I don't speak Klingon. The fuck? I'm sorry.
Why the fuck not? You play Star
You
Trek.
can't even be bothered with warp speed. Don't even start.
Because I'm too busy grinding. What are you talking about?
We've gone ludicrous speed. We've gone flat.
So you guys started talking about your migration from voter server, and then you got into the war, but you kind of skipped the drama of the band fest that occurred last night.
Oh, good point.
Because I want to talk about that, because I literally got banned from a Discord server for no other reason than I know you fuckers. I'm pretty sure we can forensically look at the timestamps, but Voter made that statement. I only kicked out Inch, Handy, and I forget who the third person was.
Pars.
And I want to forensically look at the timestamps because I think he kicked me out before he kicked Handy out.
Let me check, actually.
And Kirk and he made that statement where he lied through his teeth. Well, they're the only ones I kicked out. And as soon as I got kicked, I missed all of it. I PM'd Kirk and was like, what the fuck did you guys do? I'm trying to go to sleep. And Kirk called him out on it. Really? You only kicked the Nona players? How did Ocmsrzr get banned?
So he kicked Parzival, then Inko, and then Handy within a span of a few seconds at 1:04 p.m. Pacific Standard. Then maybe this guy left, Q Fungus McLeod. He left at 1:18 Pacific Standard, and then Ocmsrzr was kicked at 1:25 p.m. So yeah, that happened. But like, a bunch of people left during that time. Strange Kirk, Blasco, Profile, ED22611, and then Lethal joined, all at the same time. So Kirk, you still with us?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm here. Yeah, no, excuse me. I left when I discovered all that stuff was going on. And that it was one-sided. There was only one part of those arguments were getting kicked. And when I discovered that, that was kind of the nail in the coffin, so to speak. And I realized that it was it was time to move on, and I didn't really want to be associated with that server anymore.
So, in addition to that, because scrolling through some of these chats, what's the deal with was it Pars? Was it Pars who posted a screenshot saying he helped report Mud to Scopely?
No, Pars did not post that. Somebody in Nona shared that with Mud, or somebody in MBD that shared it with Mud.
Yeah.
But what was the deal with trying to ban Mud? I don't understand that.
It was just a ha 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 ha, I think.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah, I mean, they're professional trollers, right? Everybody's got them, but that was a move on the troll chessboard, I guess. I think there are different levels of trolliness, but I mean, I guess that's the game. I don't watch GC very often, so I don't really know, but that was a game.
It wasn't necessarily GC. Mud was posting the link to Yaeger-34 Discord. I don't know how many times he did it, but all of a sudden, then I go see him in Yaeger-34 saying something about him getting chat banned. I'm like, why the fuck would you get banned for sharing a Discord link? That whole TOS threw me for a loop.
It's because it has inappropriate content or some shit.
No, what happened? What really happened is that it caught the attention because he was spamming the invites.
Oh yeah.
So that's what really caught the attention. And then I guess maybe somebody, I don't know who the heck it would have been, but it's something about inappropriate content. But I highly doubt anybody from Scopely looked inside that Discord. I think it had to do with the fact that he was spamming it, trying to use that as his sort of message board for whatever it was he's doing. And I think ultimately that's what happens. And unfortunately, Scopely never tells you one way or the other, right? Like they're not going to say this is exactly why we did it. They just give you some generalized statement that doesn't actually mean anything and sends you on about your way.
Right. Regardless, Mud sucks, and
Yeah.
I don't hate him, but I very much dislike him for his actions. What sucks is if you talk to Mud just one-on-one, nothing wrong with him. I could probably share a beer, have a barbecue, we would laugh, have a good time. Like, I don't hate him as a person, but his whole persona in this game and his whole Nona hate bullshit he does, I very much dislike the way he plays this game.
Once I get my hate nose in your tent, the rest of the hate camel's coming with me. I've planted my seeds.
The Hate Camel.
I just want to stay.
Where the hell do you come up with Hate Camel?
The
This is
Hate
Staff
Camel, man.
Sergeant. You got to be creative. I just want to say I'm officially being banned from public places because I showed up with Handy.
I think we have adopted the Hate Camel as our new Trek Talk mascot.
Yes, definitely.
Larry the Hate Camel.
Gary's definitely more appropriate. Hate that guy.
Gary. Why Gary? What's with Gary?
So I pointed out, so if you're in upper double D space, there's a Gary F, and I know there's a Gary B, but I just randomly spouted off an AC one night. I was like, who the F is this guy Gary that he gets all these freaking systems named after him? And it just kind of took off. So we all hate Gary. Sorry to any Garys out there, by the way.
Are you really?
A little bit.
Embrace the hate.
Gary the Hate Camel. He's coming for you.
He's very persuasive.
Oh, I'm going to have to get on. What the hell is that site? I got to get somebody to draw up a Gary the Hate Camel. It's coming. Just saying.
Well, you know what? Where's Captain Mark Red Angel? He'll probably whip something up. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask him to make Gary the Hate Camel.
He would do it.
Be ready. Got any more camel hate? for ROG.
For who?
How do you not remember Hom and ROG on server 190, now 196?
I've slept since then.
Wait. Who's on 196?
You are.
Oh, you're talking about me. Okay.
I remember Alm again, and I remember.
Yeah, vreddy's never really been on the show before. Maybe one time.
Yeah, you guys usually do it at like 7 in the morning for me, so not really a good time. It's only 11 for me, 11 p.m. So it's okay for me to talk right now.
It's no, we start at 7:30 p.m. your time.
Really? Okay. Last time it was when I saw it, it said 7:30 a.m. for some reason.
Well, we start at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard, which is it's like 7:30 p.m. India time.
Okay. I didn't see it today. I was putting my daughter to sleep, and I woke up. I mean, I just came. I put her to sleep, came out, and I just saw Discord and saw that you guys were on, and just joined.
Yeah, this is the time that we record every Sunday.
Mm-hmm. But Sunday problem is it's usually family time, so getting at 7:30 p.m. is a little difficult.
Fine, be that way. choose family over this podcast.
Dude, I'll choose family over anything.
Even over STFC?
Especially over STFC, dude.
Any day, dude. I actually put my phone down for my daughter.
Blasphemy, where's Gary the Hate Camel?
Dude, I had to fight tooth and nail for my daughter. She actually was premature by 3 months, and she was born 615 grams. So I did not know she was going to live or die for almost 3 months. So yes, anything she wants, I put everything else aside.
Oh my god, 615 grams? Wow, that's like 1.5 pounds.
What's that in inches?
That's not even a pound and a half, that's a pound.
Well, pound's 454 grams.
I had a funny family story interaction that came out of some drama on server 45.
Please share.
So there was a memorial on server 45. And going all the way back to the first episode that I was on, when I was telling you about 45, our alliance conglomerate, the Everythings, we don't honor memorials in game. We have a memorial place set up on the community Discord because memorials were just a shit show on our server. They were happening every time somebody's fucking cousin's, uncle's, neighbor's dog died. There was a memorial, and it'd be like, "Oh, we're gonna go for a week," and then there were shenanigans with people we were at war with, trying to capitalize.
A week-long memorial? What?
Don't get it. Yes.
Oh, that's
Yes.
ridiculous. Give me a fucking break.
So then there was some game, what I would call exploitation, that they were trying to game them. Not everybody was obviously doing this, but it just got out of hand. It just, oh god. And so some stuff happened with alliances we were at war at, and we didn't like what they were doing. So we finally said, you know what? We're not going to recognize memorials in game. We are not that we've got it written in our code of conduct, our road. We're like, they're not free. We're not going to discipline any of our players for hitting memorials. We're just, no. Take it to the Discord, keep it out of game. So, not a lot of memorials for a long time. So, an alliance that we've been at war with for over a year, this, little G-Stick alliance. Hi, Sin. Had a player's mother die. And so they just like, well, we're going to have a memorial. And, it's in our row. We're not honoring your memorials in game anymore. We've had it. We can't win, so nope. So now to be clear, I don't hit memorials. As a general rule, I don't hit memorials. They're not protected, but I don't see a memorial and go, ooh, I want to hit that just because I can. I want to be there. I don't care. But some of our guys are that guy. And they went and they hit red targets at the memorial. And GC just exploded with, the hate and this, and we're bullies, we're bad people, we're horrible excuses for human beings. And it just kept going on for hours. And then it got a little off the rails. They started accusing us of stuff. And we're like, hey, if you have inappropriate PMs from leadership, send that to all the leadership and we'll hold that guy accountable. Oh, nope, they wouldn't do it. Then they couldn't do it. And then finally, I went back and I looked at them and they weren't that bad. At least that guy apologized. And then they were like, you guys used to do memorials all the time. And we're like, nope, never done. Alliance has never done a memorial ever since the server started. Incorrect. And so it just kept getting nastier and nastier. And so finally, after like 3 hours of GC just fucking hate trolling, I was like, now I want to hit the memorial. So I did. So I went in, and there were like 2 ships I could hit. Everybody else was far below level than me. So I roll in and smack a couple of bases and blow up a couple ships and I leave because I had reached my tolerance level. So the funny part of the story is this guy's like just fucking, yeah. I never thought you would do that. And I went, do you not know me? And so finally he played as one, we just were not seeing things on the same spectrum. And he played as one trump card and he was like, well, how would you feel if it was your mother that died? And I'm like, brother, if my mother had died to the croak today, I would say that the whole world should throw a party because there's that much less evil now in the world.
Ouch.
Congratulations, you broke the show.
Again. But,
Good job, Ockham.
some of us like STFC more than family. This is what I'm saying. I'm not saying vreddy's wrong. I'm glad for vreddy, and I found even my shriveled black heart found vreddy's story about his premature birth of his daughter and his commit to his family heartwarming. I mean, as much as my shriveled black heart can be warmed, but that was a good story. But realize there's people like me in the game too.
Why don't people do this? Why don't they get off their fucking game and show their family some respect instead of burying their face in a goddamn video game and trying to create some memorial where nobody gives a shit about your goddamn mother's death?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real here. I mean, nobody cares. They can pretend to care, but nobody cares. Nobody feels what you feel. So why don't you surround yourself with your family or your mother's friends or whatever, and the people that actually gave a shit about her, and go mourn with them?
Well, that's just how we are as human beings, right? Like people they act like they care, right? Like first responders, military people are like, "Oh, thank you for your service." Well, I got news for you, man. Being on the other side of that as someone who was a first responder, those people, they don't actually care. They don't. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit that you're a vet. Nobody gives a shit that you're a cop. Nobody cares. They're not gonna really actually treat you any different. And if you question that, words are cheap, right? I can say whatever I want. It costs me $0 and it costs me no time. But when it comes to something else where somebody could actually stand to lose a bit of time or give up something, I guarantee you 99.99% of the people are going to be like, yeah, no. They want to pretend, to get in on the feel good. But when the rubber meets the road, nobody gives a shit what you did for a living. Nobody's going to treat you any different. You're not going to get preferential treatment. I mean, that's just how the world works. But for some reason, we as human beings like to play pretend, right? And we like to force other people to play pretend with us. And I feel like this is one of those situations.
That's not entirely true. I actually have a whole lot of love and respect for law enforcement, but it's out of selfish reasons. I mean, I have 3 boys, so I'm going to have some run-ins. I mean, got to look out.
No, but what I'm saying is that having respect, I'm not saying you can have respect, but treating someone differently, that's not how the world works, right? People think because they did something, unfortunately, a lot of people fall into the thing. A lot of the people I used to work with, they genuinely felt like they should be treated different. And the same goes for military, same goes for a lot of other people. They pretend, we all try to pretend that people, it's this thing, and whereas it's very respectable to be any sort of public servant, whether you be in the military, in law enforcement, a paramedic, a firefighter, what have you. When the rubber meets the road, people aren't really going to actually go out of their way for the vast majority of the cases. It happens sometimes, but also it happens sometimes where people put up crackheads in their own house. So, it's 6 in one, half a dozen in the other. But I would say that this falls under one of those things where we all like to make pretend, and we're going to do this pretend thing instead of actually, facing reality and doing what we really need to do.
Yeah, it's the whole memorial is, look what I did. I can feel good about myself now.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. But when it comes down to it, it's like, oh man, you really care. You want to send them some money? And they're like, oh, well, actually, I don't think I'm going to go that far. I did just have to have my nails done. So
On that note, Gator, why don't you bring the Dudleys on next week?
That would be great. I am usually almost always unavailable, so this sounds like the one time I should come on. So thanks for having me, guys. But I'll try to get the leadership people involved. Like I said, I'm out of leadership at this point, so I'm sure if anybody listens to this, I'll inflame the crap out of them or something. I don't know. They'll come kill me even longer than they already are. But yeah, we'll do. I'll pass the message along.
That should be a fun conversation. Thanks for coming and talking about your server, man. This was great.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Be ready. Always a pleasure having you on.
Thank you. It was good to be here.
All right, guys, and Inko, come update us about the war, and we should have Epi here soon to give his side of the fence about lying and cheating and stealing, taking territories.
Been a pleasure.
All right, guys. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Ocmsrzr, Darius, Tiger, and for all those listening to across all the different servers, because we're multi-server role here. This has been Trek Talk. I'm TechMan16.
And I'm Strange Kirk.
And I'm Handy.
And everybody else is LARPing. All right, guys. Thanks again.
There is an after party channel. We'll see you there.
Yep. Everybody feel free to jump in the after show.